So remember the Beatles song? So you say you want a revolution. Is it true that we all want to make a change in the world? Um, so let's talk about Pluto and Aquarius and what that means to making a change in the world. This is Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith. And joining me is Mary Dalba, psychic astrologer. And we're going to talk about Pluto and Aquarius, the second half of 2024. We're going to talk a little bit about the charts of during this election. Um, I want to talk about Mary's amazing project, the Traveling Soul Sanctuary. She's got some really good, new, awesome stuff coming up, and I want you guys to kind of tune into that. So, a lot is happening in 2024, and we need a guide, and Mary's the guide. And I'm going to throw in my 2 cents as we move along from the Akashic records. And basically, we want to find a way that we can tap into the planets to help us live
And basically,
our best life forward. Um, Step into our passions and help our clients live their best life forward. That is Mary's theme, and I'm all with that as well. So welcome, Mary, to the show. Can say stuff. I can't just say it in order, though.
it's okay. Hi, everybody. That's all right. I'm very happy to be here again with you, Nancy. This is so fun. And we got a lot of good stuff to talk about and a lot of hold on to your seats to talk about too.
Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
So I started with Pluto and Aquarius. Now, we talked about that when we met last January 2024, just brand new year, and you mentioned Pluto and Aquarius and the importance of that. And Pluto stays in Aquarius for a while, as I understand, but could you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So Pluto is a very slow moving planet. And the reason why we look into this in astrology is because this tells us what is happening. So there's planets that, explain what our personality is like. So that's our sun sign. Also like Venus, how we love in the world, right? But Pluto is this generation planet. Um, and it really is actually takes a long time to move through the signs. This particular Pluto and Aquarius transit is going to take about 20 years or so back and forth. So yeah, it sits there for a long time. Now, what we focus on as an astrologer for the global feeling is that there is upheaval right now. And upheaval in a way that's not necessarily bad. It's Pluto goes in and it digs down really deep and it kind of gets into those soft places we don't want to deal with. Some people would call that the shadow side. Some people would just call that our buried hurts, whatever you call it. And Pluto brings it to the surface, right? So that's individually. So what we may be noticing individually right now is that like we're having these conversations with people that were like, I had no idea you felt that way. Or you find out something about someone and you're like, wow, okay, this is something they've been maybe dealing with for a long time and never talked about it. They'll take that to a global level. So we have hurts within the world, hurts within our country, hurts within our communities that are now coming to the surface. And we are being asked to think of different ways to handle it because the Aquarian energy, that Pluto and Aquarius, think about that song, now I'm dating myself, of course, but the Age of Aquarius song,
Yeah.
right? I remember Marilyn McCoo. I forget the band name, but Age of Aquarius. We're living in the Age of Aquarius. It's like things are new and things are bright, and so we're being asked to break some of the old systems,
Mhm.
or at least look at them and say, how can we make them better? But it's us as individuals that are going to make it better. So we're going to have to deal with some hurt. We're going to have to deal with things that I think we don't really want to look at as a community, as a country, as a world. But all we keep seeing is problems coming to the surface, problems coming to the surface. Well, we're being asked to work on healing those things. It's not just our own stuff. That's hard.
Yeah.
But
And I want to just point out something that occurred to me while you were talking is this isn't new hurts coming our way. This is stuff that's coming up that's already been there.
right.
Is
Right.
it, am I understanding that correctly? So it's not like you have to wince, go, it's coming at me. It's like, no, we got to deal with this now.
No, you're right. It's old hurts, it's buried hurts, it's things that you squish down. So you're right, not a new hurt. However, what I will say is if it's an old pattern that you have to heal, there'll be something new that comes up, but you're gonna see, you look back and you'll be like, oh yeah, I did that before. Oh yeah, I remember that from this time frame,
Right.
right? So it isn't new per se, but it might be showing up in a different form, which, that's what happens when we're in this life, that we get these lessons and we keep getting them over and over again until we go, I've got it. I've got it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and we can see that for the United States. I mean, we have this election coming up that, there's some old hurts there, right? There's a rematch, there's some old hurts, and people there's a lot of issues that are coming to the surface that we need to look at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And nothing wrong with that, although it's being done in a very odd way or a very unusual way. So we're setting the precedences, not precedents, but the first time it's ever happened, things are happening. That doesn't mean it's a precedent that it should be that way, but we're seeing things for the first time. Although they're old things that have existed. We've heard that talking before. We've heard, and now I'm seeing, no, we don't want to listen to this anymore, or no, this isn't going to fly. Um, and I've been thinking to myself, when last time you talked about Pluto being in Aquarius, last time it was during the American Revolution, and
Right.
people thinking differently. And I see people really challenging themselves to think differently or falling into new thoughts because of fear. And I feel like, is this what in Aquarius, it's like the thought for the bigger group, the bigger thought, the more altruistic thought, or the higher level thought.
Yes. The collective. So Aquarians always think huge. They're the thinkers. We have our Geminis and our Libras, which are also our thinkers of the astrology chart, but our Aquarians are the higher level thinkers. How is this going to affect the collective, the universe, my group of people? So they're always looking forward into the bigger picture in that regard. So what we're being called to do is to look at the bigger picture in this regard. So like, for example, if you know a community that you're a part of that needs extra help, you may be looking at, well, how do I bring a different idea to that community? How do I take care of myself so I can be part of that community and help the bigger goal? What we're finding, Nancy, you brought up an excellent point. We go towards the fear side. So this is where we see the divisions. This is where we see the my side versus your side and every person for themselves. If we evolve and we work on ourselves and see that we're all connected, then our actions are going to be more of community, group based, healing based. And listen, I know you can, as John Lennon said, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I know I'm not the only one. So if we can get this moving into that direction where the healing is happening, not dividing us, then I think we'll be in a good place.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little comment here. I don't usually do comments right away, but I do want to say this one. Do we need to know where our Pluto is in Aquarius to follow along? I'm an Aquarius and really feeling big stuff personally and collectively, getting lots of information to move into. I was just looking at my Pluto mound on my hand last night.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is an awesome question. I think this is from Melissa. Thanks, Melissa. And hi, Maria, by the way. I saw you said hello there. So for you, Melissa, being an Aquarius, you're really feeling it because it's coming up against your sun sign. Your sun sign's Aquarius. So it's your personality, it's your core, it's where you operate from. It's like, think about a computer. It's the CPU in a computer. So for you, especially about who you are, is getting shaken up. So yeah, when you look at your chart, there may be other things in Aquarius in your chart, and that will affect everything. So say your Venus was in Aquarius, then your love life would be kind of coming to the forefront. transits, which is what this is right now, how we all have to look at it, is the planets keep moving. It's where they are today. That's going to affect us differently. So I'm a Sagittarius. Nancy, you're a Sag. Pluto and Aquarius probably isn't going to affect us like poor Melissa here. I hate to say it. That is going to be really, it's going to be in the forefront of your mind, Melissa, but take that as a chance to transform. So if you've always, I saw here when she said to move, getting lots of info to move into, you know, if it's telling you something that you need to heal, like something's coming up right in front of you. Okay, this is where my work is right now. And if you can focus on that, it'll make this Pluto transit much easier for you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I had a question. I forget what I need a second to phrase it, but we've been looking at women's rights and women's rights to their health care, to making their own choices, and that's been up this year big time. Are you seeing something in the charts that can not agree with it, but just talk about why is this happening? What's the thought process behind it?
Well, think about it. If you know, we women didn't get the right to vote until the 1920s. Like we've really been we didn't get our own checking accounts until the 70s. You know, it's a little crazy. So with this coming up, this is just another place that we need to take care of women, you know, and reproductive rights, because this also protects men too. I mean, they need to be able to make choices with their partners, or and I mean partners of any sexual orientation. So let me say that. But it's for everybody. It's not just for women who have to worry about whether or not they can have a procedure to take care of themselves. So this is another kind of wound in the country, in our country. Meanwhile, you know, I have a friend that's in the UK that says it's a medical procedure here. We don't have this political thing that America has, right?
Yeah.
So it's you know, it's interesting to look at other countries and say, oh, they're not doing what we're doing here. What's happening? But there's these wounds, especially around reproductive rights, and they've been, you know, since before the 70s, you know, before Roe v. Wade. And I don't want to make this political. That's not the point of this, but I'm just saying if we really focus in, it's on the rights of a particular group that still has not been rectified. And we can say that for many groups here in America and, you know, just around the world too, though. I mean, some of the war that we're seeing has to do with religion, and it has to do with, you know, rights. And it's so it's all coming up to bubbling up, because we have to look at it. There's no change without looking at what the problem is and saying, this is a problem and we need to make a change. And it's pushing us towards caring for our fellow person.
Yeah.
Because it's
Aquarius.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this. So it's a long comment. I'm going to try to make it short, but the whole concept of democracy is up as far as and then back in 1776, when they said democracy, this is a, you know, democrat, whatever that means, every man has the right to vote. So it's reading a little history. Every man has the right to vote, but it was white men who owned property.
Right.
So then there was an argument. It says, well, wait a minute. Every man has the right to vote. You have to own property. Well, no, you don't. So every man. And then we went from there to abolitionists and slavery, and every person, well, every man of color and religion has a right to vote. And women came in last. And I don't know anyone who's a history buff that during the abolitionist movement, the women's movement was going along with it. And they said it'd be easier to free the slaves than give women rights. So they separated the two. And we are in our country, I feel, exploring what democracy means in the world. And I feel like we're hitting another one of those big walls.
Right.
What is freedom? We have the freedom to lie. Do you have the freedom to say what you want? Do you have the freedom? Do you really have the freedom to own your own health care? Do you own your own way that you present yourself in the world? So I'm just thinking that the revolution that I've been watching has been the one in the heart and the mind, and accepting other people, or getting in somebody's face and saying, I want you to accept me. Right. You've been ignoring me for all this time, and it's been really painful for me.
Right. And I deserve the same respect. That's what I think That's really what people want. It's respect for how everybody wants to live their lives. With it being an Aquarius, this is why this is coming up so much on the forefront, because we have these marginalized groups. And Aquarians are about the group, and they're the rebels. They're your innovators. They're your, they're your rebels. They're your inventors. So they're saying we need to do this differently now. Aquarians are very strong in that. I love, my Aquarian folks out there, because their minds are so amazing. They can be really creative, but very logical, and also detach quickly if they need to. They can kind of step back and look at the big picture. So really, this is a great time for us as individuals to say, what are we doing to take care of ourselves and each other? I mean, and it really comes down to our communities. There's nothing that gets built without it starting at a community level. There's no way. You have to have people that are part of that community level to say, I'll support you while you not only try to create this change, but as you're going through this change too. So it's really important we grab hands with each other right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
As much as you may not like it.
Right. Right.
Or as much as you want to grab, whatever, challenge yourself.
Right. Oh, that's a great message. Yeah. Yeah, because you can meet people that, you would never sit and have a conversation with. And I can say, like, real quickly that storytelling, I see that is a big thing that people do that really connect. And you can look at people and say, oh, I would have never expected that of that person when they tell this story. So it's also expressing yourself, and saying what is needed to be said in many ways, whether it's your own story or whether it's something you say to somebody to get your feelings heard, or you call someone in charge and say, hey, we're not liking what's happening here. But it's your voice is so important right now. Oh, your ideas are so important.
Yeah. Yeah, they know you do a lot of storytelling work yourself, Mary, and you've told some great stories. And I don't know how you pick. You've got so many stories. But yeah, storytelling. I've heard this is the new exchange. And there's a lot of value in that. It's because it's personal experience and it's a thought process that you're sharing.
Yeah, it's true. I think but those are the things that we need to take risks on, because, you think about storytelling, it's a gathering of a group, and it's, so even for folks out there that are terrified of speaking, it's a great way to do it, is through storytelling. But it's getting a chance to express your story. Some people are doing it through photos right now. Some people are doing it through, just writing a blog. I mean, there's all kinds of ways of expression, but the thing that's helping with that is then you're not alone. You're not alone. And that's really part of healing, because I know I have felt like I am way off in a place all by myself. And then I talk to someone, they're like, oh no, I've felt that too.
That is so comforting too.
Right?
It's so, yeah, you're not alone, you're not isolated, and you're right in the middle of this. Happens to a lot of people, normal kind of place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're all feeling a lot of this. So we had COVID, and now we're coming into this time, which is, again, oh gosh, we're not even 6 months. We're closer to the election. We're in June, July, August, September, October, November, 5 months from the election. I think the world is feeling a little like, whoa, like what's happening? Yeah, we're all plugging into that. We're plugging into that collective
Let's
energy.
plug into that a little bit more. I know you pulled some charts, and and then there's other planets that are moving around influencing us, and let's check into that next.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, because I said I need to pull the chart of the folks that are running. So we pretty much know it's going to be Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But also, I know that there's rumblings from Robert Kennedy Jr. Out there, and so he's going to be on some ballots. So I pulled his chart too, which I found kind of interesting, because he's a Capricorn. And those folks, if they're, in an office like this, I mean, he'll take it very much as a business and his reputation. However, what I found in his chart, and I'll explain this transit for folks, but so your midheaven, which is the top of your chart, it's usually, if you look at a chart, it can sometimes say MC on it. That's like your highest pinnacle. It's what your purpose in life is to be. It's what you do for work. Sometimes it's one of those things that says, if I want to know my life purpose, you look at your midheaven. All right. So Robert Kennedy Jr.'s midheaven is Aries, so he can be a leader. But on November 5th, his Chiron, not his, Chiron, which is the wounded healer. I don't know if you guys heard me talk about this before, but Chiron is an asteroid that tells you if you heal yourself, you can be unstoppable. And it's the place you need to work on. Well, his Chiron is sitting right on his midheaven. So my feeling is that he is going to say this election has taught him some things about how to um, work with people and heal people in the world. So I don't see him as president. I mean, I think he's disrupting things a little bit with that. But what I'm really seeing is that he walks away with a new purpose and a new idea and something that he's really wanted to do. I just don't, it's not a presidency because Chiron at the top of his chart is saying to me there's something else that he's focusing on to help other people. And not to be a jerk, but a presidency sometimes you're not, you don't get to, you get to do things, but I think he will make a stronger impact as an individual than being, the head of the country. So I'm not saying not to vote for him, folks. You vote for whoever you want, but I'm looking at him. When I pulled his chart originally, I went, wow, okay, he's got a whole new career that's coming up for him. And he's turning 70. He turned 70. I'm sorry, he turned 70 in January. So, he's got some more purpose. If he's ready to run the presidency, run the country, he can do anything else as far as his career. But I think it's really, you're going to see him say, I want to help people. I want to do better things for people in the world. When I went out on the campaign trail, I wanted to do something different. And so he gets his purpose actually from running, but he's not the president.
But he's not the president. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to, so I know some folks are looking at him. And so I wanted just to mention, I think he will come out with something a little bit different than the presidency. I mean, he actually may be, whoever wins may look at him as, well, we can have you in as a health and human services secretary. You know what I mean? Like, to give him something within the White House. But I actually think he's going to go off and do something on his own.
Okay.
Perfect. Now, Donald Trump.
Okay, before we go there, I want to take a short break and talk to everyone about reaching out to Mary at marydalba.com. And also I went on her website, there is a beautiful pages to Sanctuary, the what do you call it? The
Traveling Soul Sanctuary.
So there's a lot of really, really, really good information there. And if you're liking what Mary is saying here, get a chart, get her birth chart done, get a solar return chart with her. And also she does mediumship and she mixes it with tarot cards. So there's a lot of ways that you can reach out to Mary if things really strike your interest, where she can take what is being said here and make a bigger picture. And you can also reach out to me, Nancy at angelscapes.net. And I will work from the Akashic Records or mediumship, whatever it is that you're looking to explore. So let's go to Donald Trump.
All right. So sorry. Thank you for that. I was like, how can people find me? That's right. Someone should know. Thank you, Nancy. So we have for Donald Trump, and looking at his chart, his Uranus is up near his midheaven. Now it's not exact. However, Uranus is this planet of unexpected change, upheaval. And I think for him, he is going to be someone who, how can I say this, really puts his foot in his mouth. I'm a little concerned for him because his Uranus is going to sit right on top of his midheaven. I know he's a man who puts his foot in his mouth a lot, but I would not be surprised if something gets really shaken up around him, like something else comes out on election day. He says something that's just outrageous. I mean, completely outrageous. There's an issue with money with him. There's going to be, my senses on election day, whatever comes out is going to be explosive. Now, also, the thing we have to worry about is because he has a big mouth, he could rally some people, and I don't know what that's going to look like. So I'll say it that way. So whether or not he wins, I think he's going to do something that really makes his mark on history. Now we think he's already done that. This is going to be something even bigger.
Wow.
So Yeah, yeah. And it's,
Imagine. Yeah.
I know it's practical. Like, so listen, it could be that, he does something that's so great as far as the country from a money standpoint, a practical standpoint, something happens right away and there's a windfall. Great. I would love that. This to me feels more like there's something that's going to come out of this that's really going to be, yeah, shocking. I'll say it
Okay.
that way. So I'm not saying he's not going to win for folks that are voting for him. Doesn't mean he's not going to win. However, I think how he wins or what happens after he wins could be something that's upsetting. Now, here's the other thing I'll mention when looking at his chart. Going through his eighth house of death and change and psychic and intuition and kind of like an upheaval time, like of a Pluto, his Chiron's going through that for him, his eighth house.
Oh.
You might see him just like disappear from public eye for a while. He may or he may just go crazy on Truth Social. I think it depends on what happens, but if he feels like he's wounded somehow, he's going to strike out. So that's the
So
thing.
wounded and strike out. Okay.
Yeah, which I know he does that. Like you see that on a smaller scale. If someone goes against him, he'll say something about them. This is bigger.
Okay.
So let's hope that that's not the case, or it's a way that isn't really destructive. But I think because he has a voice that a lot of people listen to, my suggestion to folks would be, it's great to be loyal, but also, take care of yourself first in all of this. Is that a nice way to say it? Because he might not be a happy camper. And this could even be that he wins, but by the margin, he's not happy with the margin of how much he wins. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It could be something like that. So I'm not predicting who wins and who doesn't win. I'm predicting what they're going to do that day. I mean, someone going into like, revenge mode, even if they don't win, they do win or don't win, it could be explosive. So that's what I'll say to that. Yeah. So just make sure to take care of yourselves in all this. You know what I mean? Because I know some folks at sometimes they get into fights with their family. It's not worth it, guys. It's not worth it to do that. Don't get in fights with your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now,
It's still out
hmm,
on social media. Don't be beating everybody up. Just let people have their own thoughts and their own um
yep.
thought process. Yeah.
Mhm. That's perfect, Nance. Honestly, that's perfect because I think again, if we're looking for community and for people to join together, fighting over the election is not the way we're going to do it. It's just not. If you don't like who's elected, then work in your community to make change in your community. Run for something.
Exactly.
That's what I do. But but having, I'm upset over this somewhere. It's not worth it, guys. That's all I'm going to say to that. Now, um, Mr. Biden, President Biden, Joe Biden. Um, I think we're starting to see some stuff take a toll on him. Hunter, I think, just got convicted today of the gun
Oh,
charges he was up for. Yeah. So, I mean, he's got a lot of weight and heaviness on his mind. And when I look at his chart, the biggest thing I'm seeing is he's having this Uranus uh conjunction. Here's what that means. So the place that he feels the most upheaval in his life, or the most like regeneration changes, um, it sits in his job and health house.
oh,
And Uranus is coming up right on top of it. So what that means to me is that he may be reelected. If he is reelected, there's some sorrow that might come with that for him. So, this could be that he's carrying in, Hunter's conviction right now. That's possible. But there's something that comes in with him that he feels like, well, I won, but I have a feeling about it. It's tinged with some sadness. So that's something that might come up for him. The other thing is that he has his Mercury coming over his ascendant, so what he speaks about. And I think Joe Biden's a pretty frank guy. He says things I think pretty out there. You might even hear more this time. He might be even more out there with things. So again, I'm not saying he's winning or not winning, but if he does win, there's a I think this is going to be we're going to see a very hard fought battle here. I don't think we're going to see anything like this that we've ever seen before or ever will see again. This is a culmination of a lot coming at each other. So again, Joe could win, but it's a little bit at what cost or what he feels with that. So there's it, I think it's again one of those things, just strap in and just watch what's happening and don't get involved in fighting with people over like I have this view, I have this view. I think it's let people be ignorant if that's the case. But for Joe Biden, I think it's again, he's going to have some scars coming out of this election. I think
Okay.
whatever happens, I think Donald Trump's going to be more angry. I think Joe Biden's going to be more reflective. And I think Robert Kennedy is going to take it and do something completely different with it that definitely uses his talents and skills in a way that is much better suited than the presidency.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I know it's a ton of information, guys, but yeah,
Good.
we're gonna see it working through these next few months. You're gonna see it have Donald's gonna get a little more angry, Joe's gonna get a little more reflective. Off we go.
But speaking out, I feel like we haven't heard enough from President Biden. We've heard so much from Trump because of the trials and everything. And I would really love to hear more because there's three people running. Hear more from them and less from the drama of whatever's going on with these trials. So of course we know where pretty much everyone stands, but we also need to hear from them more and more.
And I think that'll help when they do some of the debates. I think there might be some mudslinging there, but try to get into listen for the issues. Listen for the issues. What are they saying about the issues? The things that mean the most to your heart. But again, I think a lot of it comes down to what are we doing for those issues?
Right. Well, yeah. Where are we speaking up?
Where are we speaking?
Well, and the Senate and the Congress are very important. They, just to vote and express your votes and express yourself through. And we always feel like one vote isn't very much at all, but tell your story, tell your words, tell your truth. Yeah.
I think we have this power. Like right now, Pluto and Aquarius is reminding us we have this power. We have power. Some people, there's that old phrase, you can't fight City Hall. Well, no, we can. If there's something that means a lot to us and we have the logic and the reasoning and all that, yeah, it might not be easy, but it is something we can do. So
we're not powerless. And
exactly.
I think, we're not powerless. And I don't want to go too far into anything else other than what you saw on the chart because they don't be opinion and we're not.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And everybody has their issues that are important to them. That's the other thing. I mean, I think sometimes our elections are decided on, well, they're this way on this issue, so I'm following that direction, which is okay. But again, if say reproductive rights are important to you, us being, I'm in Massachusetts. We're in Massachusetts. Give to your local communities that are supporting reproductive rights, like that. Those kind of things. You can do those things at a local level. That's powerful. That is powerful.
It is powerful. It is powerful. Totally. Do you see anybody else popping into this arena, presidential race?
I don't right now, just because I think really where we're going to watch is the vice president, who they're picking for vice president. We're going to see a lot of stuff happening around that. I think in that case, because I've heard Donald Trump's come down to 4 people, we might see someone completely different than the rumors that are out there. So that I think is going to happen. But I think, we know where Joe is, President Biden is. So I think it's watch who's going to be vice president for former President Trump. That'll be very interesting because I think the 4 he's supposedly whittled it down to are not going to be his final choice.
Yeah.
And that can make a big difference.
Well, it can, yeah. But we don't see any changes with Biden and Kamala Harris. They're going to stay strong.
They're going to stay strong.
It's just, all right. Yeah. Well, terrific. We've got more planets to talk about. So what else is going on besides the presidential election?
Well, right. Well, also one of the big things that's happening right now is Saturn, the planet of boundaries, restrictions, structures, foundations. I also call it Father Karma. So, it's the taskmaster a bit on that. That is retrograde right now, but it's in the sign of Pisces. That goes through to November. And the reason why I bring that one up is because if there is anything that is of a escapist nature that is not healthy for you, Saturn's kind of tapping on your shoulder right now saying, do you really want to keep doing that? Now, so some escapist things can be like, sex, drugs, rock and roll, right? Right. But it can also be that you're just not dealing with stuff in your life. So if you're like reading too many books, God, could you ever do that? I think I could never read too many. But anyway, if you're not taking care of your stuff and you're escaping in unhealthy ways, Saturn's coming back and saying, you might have tried to fix that before, but now it's coming back around and there's a reason.
I want to say something about that. You know what it reminds me of? Spiritual bypass.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? When you're going into something and you're really starting to work on it, and then the light hits you and you said, it's all over, I don't have to do anything. And you skipped doing your work. And so I think Saturn is saying I would have to say Saturn is probably saying, no more spiritual bypass. You do your work.
Right.
You can disagree with me, Mary, but I don't know.
No, I think that's a perfect way to put it. Because it's in Pisces, that is a spiritual sign. It's artistic, it's spiritual, it's music, but it's also, like drugs, alcohol, all kinds of other escapist stuff. So yeah, Saturn's saying, we talked earlier about Pluto and Aquarius and not new hurts coming up. That's correct, because Saturn's taking us over that old ground and saying, hey guys, remember when we were working on that before? We gave you a little break, but we're back again. So it's that lesson coming up in front of you again. So if you keep saying to me, if anybody's doing this, why is it still happening to me? Why do I keep attracting that? That same person's come in my life, just different name.
Yeah.
This is where Saturn's getting involved and saying, take a look.
Hello. Yeah. You know what I have to say? I've had Saturn and in the Sun and Sag in my first house for my whole life. And it's like just thinking of Saturn gives me a headache. But it's like Saturn is retrograde in Pisces. Forget about it.
You're like, I don't want to hear it. No, I get it. I get it. It's really here. It's designed to give us a stronger foundation, because I think we all need to relax. When it starts getting into escapism, it gets a little shady, you get into a little shady place there because, we all don't want to deal with who wants to do the work? I mean, let's be honest. No, we don't want to do the work. Well, I'm a spiritual practitioner. I'll speak for myself. There's days I'm like, I don't want to do this. But if I don't, then where do I go? Like, how do I get healthier? How do I move forward in my life? Sometimes you got to step back and take a minute before you move forward. And if you ignore that spiritual bypass, you're going to have to circle back and do it anyway, guys. It's just how it works. As the person who knows this.
Darn it. I know. I can, I'm packing up, getting my house ready to transition to a new place. And that's a really good way to do Saturn. I should have cleaned that up 5 years ago, but I didn't know I have to do it.
So, I'm gonna ignore that. No,
no, I
right.
can't.
Now you can't anymore. Right. That's a great way to say that can manifest that way. If you're like trying not to do stuff around your house, it's like, oh, I think I have to.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah. But so darn it. Let's stop talking about Saturn and go on to Saturn.
Well, this is one thing I'll just say about this. This is where you create new practices that are helping you. So again, if you're I'll have a glass of wine every night, say, well, maybe at night you meditate a little bit, or you have a glass of wine maybe once a week. These are where you create new practices that are going to help you relax and let the world go for a little while. So I'll say that. I wanted just to mention that. Yeah.
That's good to me.
And we all worry about, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that worries about it, but Mercury retrograde. So we do have, we only had 3 this year. We're only going to have 3. We had one back in April. So if you think back to April, how that was, we have one mostly for the month of August. So August 5th through the 27th. And then November 25th to December 15th. So right around our Sag time, Nance. Yeah.
It could be fun.
Right. It could be. It's true. Maybe more people are popping up to give us presents. That's how I'm looking at it. But if you don't know what Mercury retrograde is, if you haven't heard what it is, Mercury retrograde is when the planet of communications, travel, commerce, and mechanics is not at full power. That's what retrograde means. It's just not its usual self. I'll say like the planet has a cold. So, we're still working, but we're not working at full power. Um,
No,
so
to be in Mercury retrograde last April.
yeah.
To travel, I went to visit my grandkids, and the plane was an hour or so late. It was just I've never had that crazy thing happen. But when I got there, I said, "Phew, we've made it!" And all the kids came down with 102 fever. I think that was Mercury in retrograde because like this wasn't supposed to happen. Anyways, I'm just kind of going off on a squirrel chase, but you know what I mean? It's just like so many things. We gotta don't be afraid of it, but do pay attention.
Well, right. I think that's an excellent point. You don't be afraid of it, but be prepared that things might not turn out the way that you think they're going to turn out.
Yeah.
Or like you have to make alternative plans. Like, so, you get there, Nance, the kids are sick. You're like, all right, might have to do something different today because they need to rest, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with Mercury retrograde. You plan for the unexpected if you can. So, example, if you're going to go to the airport, you are going to travel during Mercury retrograde, you get to the airport early. You don't mess around with that because you may, get held up in a security line. It may be a plane is late, whatever. It's better to plan for things and give yourself extra breathing room. So that's the other thing for folks that shop around, December, Black Friday stuff, things like that. You want to give yourself that extra time. If you're looking for a specific gift, you might pick it up somewhere else, that kind of thing. Just be prepared that if you're like, oh, I'm going to go to Best Buy for this, make sure you got a backup. That's that kind of stuff. Because it may be fine, but if you don't have the backup and it isn't fine, then you're scrambling. So this is a be prepared kind of transit when Mercury goes into retrograde. So really it's most of August and then, November 25th to December 15th. So those are big ones.
Okay.
Yeah, which, I know none of us really like Mercury retrograde, but it causes us to take a beat. You know what I mean? It causes us to be more prepared, to be clearer. If we're writing emails, we're definitely reading them over more than once. Things like that. It's forcing us to let me take a second look at this piece because or let me take a beat because I could really stick my foot in my mouth. Do not do that. Do not stick your foot in your mouth. That would be bad. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a lot of what's happening. And I think, Jupiter's going into Gemini. And Jupiter also, I'll just mention Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and growth and luck. And so with it being in the sign of Gemini, it was in Taurus for a year. So you may have seen some of your money move around or received, some great things around money, purchased a home, anything like that. With it going into Gemini, this is a good time for learning, for research, for data, for information, for networking, for socializing. That's where you're going to get your luck. So for everybody out there that's looking for a partner, go out because this is the time you're going to meet. You can't meet them at home. You need to go out and meet people.
Yeah. Same thing with job searching, same thing with building your business. It sounds like we need to get out a little bit more with all of that.
True. Yeah. So it's the rest of the year, what I would say the big focus would be is to work on your own healing and really being an example to other people of how you can do that just by living. You don't have to go out and speak this whole big thing, but just go out and live. And I think that kind of example is going to be really important throughout the end of the year, is to be a person of integrity, to be a person of authenticity, to be a person of healing, and to show that your own healing was a priority to you and other people can do it too. So you can be the example. That's really the message I would say for the rest of the year. Be the example.
The example, and a little hint on that being the example, which feels like, oh, that's so hard. But actually, when you do your own work, you're really giving everyone around you permission, but you're raising your own vibration. And the law of vibration is everyone wants to match that higher vibration. So you're actually not working as hard as you think you are. You're simply expanding yourself. Well, I'm a Sag, so it's expanding myself, but it's also being in that best place possible will invite the people around you to be in their best place possible, and it will benefit you greatly. So do it. It's worth it.
Do the work. Yeah, it really is worth it. And that, it's funny. I had a person say to me the other day, I said, well, you got to get to know yourself a little bit better. And she goes, well, how do I do that? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a really good question. And I'm like, well, what do you like to do? And she said, well, I'd like to write poetry and this and that. And I said, well, focus on that because you'll get to know yourself better through that poetry, or you get to know yourself better through that writing. And that's how you do the things you love to get to know yourself even better.
Yeah.
That's how, like you said, it doesn't have to be this big work. Like, do the things you love, bring those back into your life, make them better, make them bigger. That's how you get to know yourself and heal. It really is.
It is. It is. I'm getting more of my art supplies out there. I'm telling you, I'm really inspired hearing what you're saying. I'm gonna.
Good. No, that'll be fun. And you're a tremendous artist, Nancy. Tremendous.
Oh,
So it's true. It's true.
and
So
you started telling in art, and it's so healing.
mhm.
Um, when back in historical time, how people learned was to tell stories to each other, and
Mhm.
I feel like that it was home and hearth. It was heart to heart, and I think doing your best work, I feel like is home and heart to heart. And so let's take a look at that and think about that.
Yeah.
Or anyway, that's kind of nice. That's a nice message. I can do that. Jupiter and Gemini. That's good.
Yeah. But remember, Pluto is about power. So that's also what Pluto is about. Like it's digging this stuff up so that you can be in your power. So the more that you're in your power, you're standing in your power, you're saying the things you need to say. You do the work that makes you ecstatically happy. That's in a power. That doesn't mean a power struggle, though we're going to see some of those this year. This is more of your own power, coming into your own power. And that is the positive way Pluto can be used, not the political struggles or the company struggles, or it's more of being in your own power and
Oh,
bringing that to your community.
that's so perfect. I love that.
That's it. So,
Great, great, great. So it's going to be an interesting year. The rest of the
mhm,
big challenge to remember to be in your power
mhm,
while everything's going on. Make your choices and be clear on what choice you want to make, and so many things
yeah.
that are good,
Yeah.
that are yeah.
Well, it's
It's not,
really encouraging us to get to know ourselves. Like we can't keep denying who we are. I sometimes we do that. We just don't feel comfortable or we don't know enough about ourselves or will we get loved if we really are authentic or whatever it is. But this is the year to say, I find my tribe wherever it's going to be. If it's in my family, great. If it's not, then I find my tribe because that's a big thing. This year we're going to find each other's tribe. We're going to find each other's
right.
groups.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's been a big disconnect for I feel like this is the year to reconnect to yourself. That soul reconnect. So the big disconnect is going to be addressed
mhm,
the rest of the
yeah,
year. And
yeah,
it's always nice to find your community
yeah,
to help you do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Nice, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
um, do you want the sanctuary? Speaking of
Yeah.
community,
I do want you to talk about that sanctuary. How did it start? What is this a brainchild you've had for a while that you've been nurturing along? Now you just graduated
I
with
did
your master's in divinity, correct?
spirituality. Close.
Spirituality.
Yeah,
Oh, it is good.
spirituality.
Yeah.
It's similar. Yeah.
Nice.
Um, but so how it really started was years and years ago. I had wanted to have some kind of church. That was sort of my idea. I didn't know how that would work. And then I heard it again several years ago, about 5 years ago. And I said, oh, okay. Um, and then, it's funny how I think spirit brings you forward, and shows you things and you can take the opportunities or not. But a friend of mine was talking to me about her daughter was going to Merrimack and she kept talking about Merrimack, Merrimack, Merrimack. And I said, "Oh, what is this school? This keeps coming up. It's like nudging at me." So I Googled it and I saw that they had a master's program in spirituality. Um, and it just felt like it intersected with the church idea. And I was like, all right, well, let me go. I'm going to go. And when I sat down and talked to my advisor about my thesis, I explained kind of my life and what I was looking for. And I just kind of threw out there, I was like, oh, I've always wanted to start some kind of church or community or whatever. And he said, well, that's your thesis then. And I was like, no, wait a minute. Wait, no,
Oh,
wait, you know. And he was like, no, that's your thesis. He's like, you're talking about it passionately. You're excited about it. He goes, that's your thesis. And I went, okay. And in that project time frame of the thesis, I created the Traveling Soul Sanctuary because based on, I worked with folks on my mailing list, asking them questions about what they wanted to see in some kind of community. Because I'm sure you've heard it too, Nancy, with your clients. People are looking for something that's not religious, but spiritual.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was, I asked people, well, what are you looking for in that kind of community? And based on that feedback, that's how the sanctuary was created. We have 5 pillars, which have to do with acceptance and community, education. So we want you to learn things there that can help you with your own personal practice, resources if you need books or connections. We're talking about doing a thing where people can find each other for trade. I'm not sure how that looks yet, but we're thinking about that kind of stuff is, someone can offer something, someone can offer something, we can, connect them together. And then services, not only gatherings, so group gatherings, but also services of, spiritual direction, questions, talks, things like that, that people can really feel like they're developing their own connection to their spirit. So that's really where it came from. It's I'll tell you, I really felt like it was led by the spirit because there's no way I could have probably done that on my own. So I am very appreciative of that. But yeah, I want, this is going to be a community that is made through folks, not only, coming to services, but if folks want to teach classes, if folks want to run a talk, if they want to bring something out that they've been studying or that they know about, we want people to be involved. It is a community.
Is this community, is it local somewhere? Is there a place they're meeting, or is it online, or
We're starting it online.
Okay.
There will be, as we get a space, crossed, we'll always make it hybrid. So you will have an online option no matter where you are in the world. But we are going to have in-person gatherings once that kind of gets settled. But we're starting off online because let's just get people together.
It's this Traveling Soul Sanctuary. So what if you went to a lot of different places?
And
gotta get a room somewhere, get a function hall somewhere, and say, okay, we're gonna be in Maine.
We're gonna be traveling.
We're gonna be up here. I want to. Yeah, like
I love it.
Let's go to the Keys.
Let's go. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. I love this. So see, and that's what I mean. Community is what's going to make this what's really going to work. So if folks do want to, give a comment, you can reach us at the Traveling Souls Sanctuary.com is the website. And then the email's a little different. It's connect@travelingsoulsanctuary.com. So
this is all on your website, Mary@marydalba.com.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you feel a little lost, I don't have it writing down, you're not writing it down fast enough, go to Mary@marydalba.com. Oh, wait, that's your email address. Go to marydalba.com. Either way, write to her.
Find me.
Website. Yes. And it's all there.
Yeah.
I didn't have enough time to look at everything, but I was there for a good 45 minutes loving it. So there's a lot to lot being offered right now. It's really something else. I really appreciate that you're bringing this out in the community. It truly is spirit-led. As I was reading it, I said, this is inspired. This is very cool. So I really recommend. I really enjoy your approach to spirituality, Mary. I've always enjoyed it, and I feel that there's a personal safety within it, but also there's the doors opening. Be who you are. Right. You just come as you are, and then you can be even more of who you are once you start feeling comfortable.
Exactly. That's all that I want for folks is they feel like they have a place to come and be accepted, and that's a huge part of it. So. Yeah, you gotta come. You guys gotta come see it. So
yeah, it's been a crazy year for you too. A couple of years you've worked really, really hard, and been very excited to watch the growth and the learning and stuff. And so I want to really encourage everyone to use these gifts that we have on Angel Skates podcast, especially Mary, and everyone I bring on these podcasts is available and is ready to be of service, to be of help, to give you some really good ideas and guidance. And this is about you opening up to your own spiritual path. It's not about a dogma. It's not about a creed that says this is how you do it. This is about finding your own way. And that's what Angelscapes is all about. And Mary's such a gift to come on the podcast as one of the participants that has something to offer. So for now, I want to just encourage you to find your path, to find your peace, to find yourself, and take really good care of yourself, and let your heart open. So for now, stay in peace, stay in love, and stay calm, because it's a big year.
Exactly. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.